Welcome back to the channel. Tune in or go stout. We are back talking about the psyop that is the American economy. New news came out and they're trying to gaslight people into thinking that there's no problem, and actually things are hitting record highs. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. It helps out a lot, helps with the algorithm, and if you like the content, let me know. But without further ado, new reports are coming out that Americans just spent a new record high on Black Friday. If you're like me, this kind of caught you by surprise, not because Americans don't like to buy things, but because of the dire situation that we're in. We're fresh off the fiasco that happened during the government shutdown. We had the worst layoffs in October, and they're not even releasing the data for October. So with all that uncertainty, how are we spending more money than ever on Black Friday? Well, I'll tell you, our economy has a doctorate in money magic.
Okay, so you put down 20, and I put down 20, but if I buy the stack for 30, then we both make $10. I'm with it.
They will use stats to paint whatever picture is convenient for them. And right now, that is a picture of abundance and a lot of money in circulation, because consumer spending is what is propping up this failing nonsense. But let's look more into this headline. Shoppers are spending billions on Black Friday. Online Black Friday shopping has risen by 9% from just the year before. In-store traffic is hitting all-time lows, but this is nothing new. This continues a trend that we've been seeing since like 2016. If you're old enough to remember the real Black Fridays where people slept outside of stores till 12 a.m., you are a real one. But this Black Friday is more of a late stage capitalism, boring Black Friday. People are getting food comas on Thanksgiving, sleeping until 10 a.m. and then doing their shopping online whenever they feel like it. I did have a hard time finding the in-store sales for Black Friday, but we can go off the holiday season total, and it's expected to pass 1 trillion for the first time ever. Even with this milestone, 2025 is still growing at a slower rate than 2024 and only seeing about a 3.7% increase, year over year. This is not bad at all, don't get me wrong, but with an economy hell-bent on progress, some people see this as a problem. And I guess we're seeing AI's real use, and that is to get people to spend money on things that they probably don't need. Most of the traffic driven this year to retail websites was from AI chatbots, and it wasn't a small amount. It was a 805% increase. That is insane to think about, but it kind of just shows how antisocial, anti-people everything is becoming. Okay, why can't we take this information at face value? 11.8 billion in online sales, a 9% increase from last year, a projected 3.8% growth from the year before. What about this looks fishy? Well, in almost all the reports I looked about these numbers, none of them adjusted for inflation. Assuming that inflation is steady at 3%, and that's what's being widely reported, then that 3.8% increase in nominal growth turns out to be a 0.8% increase in real growth. So then this paints a different picture on what those numbers reflect. It makes the football spiking that these economists are doing look even dumber.
How could we be in a recession if they're spending money like crazy?
Well, people are spending more on the same product and getting less of it. This is something that we've known for a while now, and we've been dealing with the effects for several years. But somehow they keep trying to gaslight us into thinking everything is fine. They don't tell you that 40% of the shopping came from the top 20%. And the rest of the people that went shopping that day used Affirm and buy now, pay later options at record high amounts. And this is just a continuation of a trend we saw in October, where buy now, pay later increased from 17% from just the previous year. And while it's too soon to have the exact data for the week of Thanksgiving, if we're just looking at the week before Thanksgiving, it saw a 72% increase in just week over week. And they're not even using it on the big ticket items. It isn't to buy a TV, it isn't to buy a new ATV, it's to buy discounted apparel that are already on sale. Yeah, people are buying now and paying later on low cost items. I don't know what stage of winning this is, but it's a lot different than the picture that they're trying to paint. While this is troubling news, when you have slow growth around the holidays, it's not necessarily a good thing. While it does show what's actually happening in the market, the effects of a slow holiday season affect the worker more than anybody else. For many people who have seen layoffs this year, that's about 1.1 million people, a 44% increase from just last year. This holiday season is already tough, and getting a job at UPS or Amazon was one of the shining lights for people. Not the best job to work, but hey, they're hiring right now, or they should be. Retailers are preparing for the lowest hiring season in 15 years, where more companies are probably going to cut jobs than add jobs. Guys, let me take a moment to say I don't get pleasure from telling you this, but to make sure that you are making the right decision in your life on what to do next, I feel like you should have an accurate description of what's going on in today's time. I could sit here and fill you with hopium, but that does nothing for you or me. If I tell you to close your eyes and walk into a burning house, I would not be a good person for that. But if I at least give you a 5 fire extinguisher, I feel like I'm helping you more than I'm hurting you. And at the end of the day, I know you're tired of the gaslighting just like I am. How are you going to tout record sales but not talk about the record price increases? I've been watching a lot of stuff on the tokenization of the dollar and what could possibly happen, and the more I think it's crazy, like that would be such a hard system to implement. When people are tired of spending this paper, I don't think it's going to be that hard. These type of things, these structural changes like tokenization are not pushed in times of like great stability. They try to sneak it in the conversation when shit hits the fan. Like, hey guys, this might solve the problem. Just let us track everything about you, what you spend, how you spend, and let us tell you if you can even spend. And this tokenization conversation is not just because people are spending more money and getting more debt. It's the whole host of things happening. This goes back to the idea that we're just walking into a trap. It's their choice when they can control this demolition. You have high inflation, high customer debt, low trust in banks, rising fintech influence in every sector of our lives. And given our debt, our government wants more control of the money supply. When it all comes tumbling down, the banks are not going to blame themselves for giving out bad loans. They're going to blame Americans for having record high credit card payments missed, record repos, and foreclosures at 2008 levels. It's not their fault that they lent you money. It will always be your fault that you decided to spend it, no matter how predatory the offer was, and no matter how much the interest rate resembles usury, it'll always be your fault. And if you want to reclaim some of your power back, then you have to take real steps to do that. People are going to spend money no matter how bad the market is, but just because they do doesn't mean you also have to. $50 spent at H&M is much better spent at your local grocer. I've talked in the comments with some viewers before, but if you really want to get ahead, try to get off of the main supply chain. If you're in an area that's able to take advantage of farmer markets, go to them. And if you're in the situation like I'm in, where you can buy meat directly from the farm, go that route. Surviving in the future is going to be dynamic. It's not going to be a one set plan for everybody, but I can already tell that it's going to be heavily community based. Funny enough, at one of the HOA meetings for my neighborhood, I know why am I at one of those meetings, but I had to be there. They proposed starting like a bartering system where neighbors, are able to trade things that they have. Obviously not this season. It's about to be winter. During the summer, people in my neighborhood do have backyard gardens, and they're kind of bringing back like good neighbor policies, like, check on your neighbor type thing. And it was weird to hear, but it was like kind of cool to see these people trying to think differently. And it got a pretty good reaction. People were really liking it. And it's even led, my household to get very creative. We usually have a lot of baked goods or breads in our house. So we've been kind of thinking, that'll be our bartering chip. And it does make the community feel closer knit in a time of everything feeling crazy. I know this is very micro scale, but I do see this spreading around. But even if you're not able to do this, I think the idea is the same for, surviving in the times. And that's just cutting your costs down as much as possible. Save up for a big purchase. Don't stop buying things if you don't want to, but try just not to be buying just to buy. There's no point of dunking about matcha and avocado toast and Labubus. All those purchases are just a sign of how nihilistic our economic future has gotten, and I can't blame you for feeling like that. I can only try to give you advice to maybe change it. But again, what do I know? Just an unemployed guy playing Call of Duty. Share my opinion. If you agree or disagree, let me know down below in the comments. I do read the comments. Will the people who make these headlines and try to gaslight us ever stop the rage bait, or are we doomed to be blamed for every single crisis that happens? If you haven't already, like and subscribe to join the thread. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.